So the idea of Ixion, how did it start for Bulwark?
Okay, so I remember pretty well the moment when it happened. We just ended to work on Mechanicus, and then we went to the bar to celebrate it, classic, and we start to pitch stuff. Like, it was in the first place, it was a mix between a management game and FTL, like having a ship when you can build much more things into it, and then you have there is at some point some kind of jump between galaxies and stuff like that. And today it's quite different, but still there is still some kind
the original idea.
Yeah, the DNA is still there.
So was it those pieces of art that you saw first, and that's what really sort of attracted you to space, or was like you just wanted to do some more space games after having worked on Mechanicus?
There was one thing I personally wanted, is to not do a war game post Mechanicus, because to spend 1 year and a half designing weapons, killing, etc. And wanted to do something very different, to just relax.
Yeah.
Finally, it was pretty.
I'm not sure you describe Ixion as a relaxing game, but maybe.
It's
moments.
You have moments of contemplation, I think.
Yeah. Obviously, Julian, you worked on animation, mainly with Mechanicus, and how did you start to work on the narrative with Ixion? Was that part of the pitch process with design, or did you just come to the table and say, I've got a great idea and I want to explore it? Or
when we start to work on it, I went to Manu and Jeremy, and I said, did you have someone to wrote this game? And they said no, and I can do that, I think. The thing with Ixion, it wasn't a purpose to came with, I have an idea, we're going to do that. For me, in video game, you have to be the main discipline is game design. And it was really important to think that first of all, we need to look at our constraint, look at what we want to do, and then create a story who can adapt to this. And the good thing about constraint, it's much more easier and creative to create with constraints than be totally free. We understand really early that we wanted some kind of egocentric billionaire ruling stuff. We wanted to play with madness, with strangeness, with all the stuff we liked. And
we like madness.
Madness, a little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit of madness. I don't think there is no creative process without references. In my opinion, when you create stuff, when you imaginating stuff, you are always mixing your references. You are always creating from something. For example, the Tycoon is based on two things: Jewish words talking about fixing the world or social justice, and also a Manly, a French revolutionary magazine from the 2000 years. The Marduk Council is something it came from the Babylonian society, and the whole story is about a civilization on the glimpse of the collapse. The nicest trick was the name of the game, because we spent so much time to find how are we gonna name it, and then you, the producers, came with Ixion, and it was like perfectly in the tone. Like it came from the Greek mythology. It's about these guys stuck into a wheel in fire and through into space, and we're like, okay,
very accurate.
This is perfectly
this is good.
It fits perfectly. AI or digital beings, it's something in science fiction. Everything has been done, and so the thing was much more about choosing something with a meaning in the story of Ixion, much more that reinventing the wheel. We came with this thing that PA, our personal assistant, they are designed after the people they need to serve. And so basically the dolos, when you start working with them and you need a personal assistant, you do some kind of psychological test, you have some electrodes on your head, and they scan you, and they understand the way you work, and they recreate a digital version of you with some constraint in terms of free thinking, free will, etc. And they use this. They complete this version and they use it to create your personal assistant. It's always fun to create a character like Eden. Obviously, GLaDOS was a huge huge influence. HAL 9000 in 2001 Space Odyssey also. So there is so many great digital characters already being created.
I mean, she'll be effectively your companion, you know, through all the chapters, and there'll be very few other people talking to you. But I think we can say that there'll be a few other AIs that you'll come across.
It's possible. Like
it's possible. You can play Ixion, you know, a number of different ways, from just playing it from like a purely city builder perspective to really engaging with the narrative. I don't think the narrative is a case of that it spoon feeds you every single part of the story. I think there's a lot left to interpretation, even around the moon explosion. You know, there's a story there, and there are facts, and there is a process, but there are elements of that part of the story and, you know, later parts of the story that we can't spoil, that will be left to player interpretation. And I think it'll be really exciting to see the community reaction to it. I mean, already, you know, I think whether it's in the Discord or on Twitter, we see a lot of like discussion and interpretation around the theories, and it's really fun to sort of see some of those, because some of them are close and some of them are pretty wild. But I think that'd be really fun to see that reaction.
We've got so many ideas that we couldn't bring to the game.
Yeah.
And, our hopes are for the game to be successful enough so we can ensure a life cycle that will allow us to bring all that stuff, because we've got very cool ideas.
For me, I think it's like it's much more personal, but I will be really happy if people trying to understand and find the hidden stuff into the world that we created. With the demo, I wasn't disappointed by the community that they dig, but there are still little stuff they didn't find. I think it's complicated to understand them, but there are still little stuff. And yeah, for me, I know the story of the game. I know what I've written and what it's not written, and I didn't want people to have the same conclusion as I have, because I feel like a story is great when people can make the story theirs. In my opinion, many great licenses are better when fans are making theories instead of the official ones. And that's something I will be happy to see on Ixion, and I'm already happy to see that on the demo, and cheers to the community.